It was supposed to be another night of clever jokes and easy laughs. Bill Maher was in his element, sharp, sarcastic, and ready to entertain. But when Keanu Reeves walked onto that stage carrying a Bible and a silence that didn't flinch, the air shifted. What began as mockery turned into something no one expected, and what Keanu said next left even Bill Maher unable to speak. Oh, and before we continue, tell us, what's the one thing you love most about Keanu Reeves? Let us know in the comments. This wasn't just another episode of Real Time with Bill Maher. The stage was set, the rhythm familiar, and the audience primed for irreverence wrapped in wit. Bill Maher, the self-proclaimed high priest of skepticism, was poised to deliver punchlines sharper than scripture. Yet, that night, the script flipped. It all started when Keanu Reeves entered the studio, not with an entourage, not with oversized sunglasses or flashy armor, but simply dressed in a modest black suit, holding a weathered leather-bound Bible. His demeanor was calm, almost serene, as he took his seat across from Maher. Without uttering a word, he placed the Bible gently on the glass table between them, and the room felt it, an unspoken shift. Cameras rolled, laughter lingered in the air from the pre-show antics, but the crowd leaned in instinctively. Maher raised an eyebrow, then smirked. "Come on, man, a Bible? What is this, Sunday School Live?" The audience erupted in laughter, but Keanu didn't laugh. He didn't flinch. Instead, he glanced at the book for a brief moment before meeting Maher's gaze. "It's just a book," he said, his voice calm, like a whisper cutting through a storm. Maher chuckled, "Sure it is. Just happens to be the best-selling fiction of all time." Another burst of laughter followed, but Keanu's fingers brushed the cover of the Bible, not defensively, but reverently. "Strange," he said softly, "how a book can scare people more than any idea inside it." Maher leaned forward, never one to back down. "Scare? No. It doesn't scare me, my friend. It's just outdated. You're a modern guy, Keanu. You've played time travelers and techno-Christs. I expected something a little more zen." The crowd chuckled again, but there was a hesitation this time, a subtle pause that lingered longer than expected. Keanu didn't engage. Instead, he looked directly at Maher and said, "Hollywood gave me stories, but faith, that came from somewhere else." The room quieted slightly, as though the air itself had leaned in. Maher raised his cup, the ice clinking nervously inside. "So, what, you're religious now? Doing press tours for Jesus?" Keanu smiled, not to mock, not even to soften, but simply to acknowledge the absurdity of the question. "I'm not here to convert anyone," he replied. "I just brought something that reminds me of who I was before all of this and who I don't want to forget to be." As the conversation unfolded, Maher pressed further, his tone oscillating between curiosity and skepticism. "And the Bible does that for you?" Keanu nodded. "It was a gift," he explained. Maher scoffed, eyebrows lifted. "Let me guess, a monk? A priest? Some old mystic you met on a mountain?" Keanu looked down, his voice dropping slightly. "A janitor." The laughter that usually followed Maher's jabs never came. Instead, the room froze, hanging on Keanu's every word. He spoke of Elijah, the custodian who moved through life unnoticed yet saw everything. He didn't talk much, but he saw people, really saw them. Pain, joy, loneliness, all of it, without them saying a word. Maher shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "And he gave you that?" Keanu nodded. "Said it wasn't for reading. Said it was to remember what?" Keanu stared at the ceiling lights, his gaze distant yet focused. That even when everything feels hollow, something still remains. The tension in the room was palpable as Keanu reached into the back of the Bible and pulled out a small, yellowed envelope, its seal intact. He held it up, his voice steady. "He told me, when the silence is louder than the laughter, that's when you'll know." The audience collectively held their breath. Maher, for the first time that night, was speechless. The camera zoomed in on the envelope in Keanu's hand, his eyes unwavering. This wasn't just a late-night talk show anymore. It was a moment of profound vulnerability, one that would leave an indelible mark on everyone watching. #### The backstory, Keanu's encounter with faith on set. To fully grasp the significance of Keanu Reeves' appearance on Bill Maher's show, one must journey back several years earlier to a dusty movie set in Los Angeles. It was a place where creativity and chaos collided, where the harsh glare of hot lights contrasted with the cold bitterness of stale coffee. Amidst the hustle and bustle of production delays, Keanu found himself sitting on a folding chair during a break between takes. The set buzzed with activity, yet an unusual heaviness hung in the air, a silence that seemed to echo louder than the noise around him. At the height of his career, Keanu was outwardly successful, but internally, he felt hollow. The accolades and fame were overshadowed by a gnawing emptiness. He couldn't articulate it then, but he later realized it was a yearning for something more substantial than the transient highs of Hollywood. It was during this period of introspection that Keanu encountered Elijah, a figure who would profoundly influence his perspective on life and faith. Elijah was the epitome of invisibility on the set. As a janitor, he moved through the corridors unnoticed, his presence marked only by the cleanliness he left behind. Yet, Keanu noticed something different about him. There was an aura of calmness and wisdom that seemed incongruous with his mundane role. Every time Elijah passed by, Keanu felt seen, not watched, but truly seen. This realization intrigued Keanu, prompting him to strike up a conversation during a rare lull in filming. "You don't talk much," Keanu remarked one day, sitting near the crew trailers while Elijah wiped down a cart of props. Humming softly, Elijah didn't respond immediately. Instead, he offered a closed-lipped smile, the kind worn by those who have lived through experiences too profound to be captured in words. Undeterred, Keanu tried again, asking, "Do you believe in God?" Elijah paused, his warm, tired eyes meeting Keanu's curious gaze. Without hesitation or pretense, he replied, "I believe in what stays when everything else leaves." These words resonated deeply with Keanu, embedding themselves in his consciousness like a scar that only becomes visible under certain light. At the time, their full weight eluded him, but they lingered, waiting for the right moment to reveal their significance. Their interactions continued sporadically over the weeks, each conversation peeling back layers of understanding. One day, Keanu finally asked Elijah's name. "Elijah, like the prophet?" Keanu joked half-heartedly. Elijah shrugged, replying, "I'm not the one with a destiny." Intrigued, Keanu pressed further, "You clean trash for a living. Doesn't that bother you?" Elijah's response was both simple and profound. "That doesn't mean you're not doing something sacred. Everyone's carrying something sacred, some just forget where they put it." These exchanges planted seeds of contemplation in Keanu's mind, challenging his perceptions of purpose and spirituality. On the final day of filming, Elijah handed Keanu a Bible, its pages worn and weathered. Inside the back cover lay an envelope. "Open it when the silence is louder than the noise," Elijah advised cryptically. With that, he walked away, leaving Keanu with a tangible reminder of their brief yet impactful connection, a testament to the unseen forces that shape our lives in unexpected ways. The atmosphere in the studio that night was electric, charged with anticipation as Keanu Reeves sat across from Bill Maher. The initial mockery faded into something deeper, more poignant, as Keanu began to unfold the story of the Bible and the mysterious envelope within. The audience, initially amused by Maher's jibes, grew silent, leaning in to catch every word. The cameras, typically focused on capturing comedic reactions, zoomed in on Keanu's face, capturing not just his expressions but the gravity of his revelations. Keanu described the letter, its contents written with precision and care, as if meant to pierce through layers of pretense and touch the raw nerve of truth. He shared how the letter spoke of a boy who used humor as both shield and weapon, echoing his own life's echoes. "There was a boy once, funny, sharp, loud," Keanu read aloud, his voice steady yet laden with emotion. "He could make anyone laugh, even in a hospital room, even while his mother faded in the bed beside him." The audience fell completely still, the usual chuckles replaced by a collective intake of breath. Bill Maher, known for his quick wit and biting commentary, found himself unusually subdued. His posture shifted subtly, a physical manifestation of the emotional weight settling upon him. Keanu continued, he learned early that humor was a weapon, a shield, a mask. People loved him for it, but no one saw him cry in the bathroom afterward. Maher's jaw tightened visibly, a rare crack in his otherwise composed facade. The parallels between the letter's narrative and Bill's own life were unmistakable, drawing a line between public persona and private pain. Keanu paused, looking directly at Bill, his gaze piercing through the veneer of skepticism. This letter isn't addressed, but somehow I've always known it wasn't just for me. The room felt heavy, akin to the solemnity of a church service. Keanu laid the paper on the table, the studio enveloped in a silence that was neither awkward nor tense but profound and necessary. The audience, now more than mere spectators, became participants in a shared moment of revelation. Maher's voice, when it finally broke the silence, was raspy, almost beneath breath. "Who wrote that?" he asked, his usual bravado stripped away. Keanu's response was gentle yet firm, "Someone who saw what we try so hard to hide, the pain behind the punchlines." Bill didn't look away, couldn't. The letter lay open on the table, unclaimed, its truths written with such precision that coincidence seemed implausible. In this charged atmosphere, the conversation pivoted. It wasn't about belief in a deity or adherence to religious doctrine anymore, it was about recognition, the acknowledgement of shared human experiences buried beneath layers of performance and denial. Keanu, ever the listener, allowed the silence to breathe, to work its way into the cracks of resistance that Bill had built over decades. Maher, leaning forward now, his hands clasped tightly, ventured hesitantly, "You know," Bill continued, forcing a half-chuckle, "I grew up Catholic, altar boy, nuns, all of it. Didn't take." This was a story he'd recounted numerous times, always eliciting laughter. Not tonight. Tonight, he was shielding himself with it, exposing vulnerabilities he rarely acknowledged publicly. Keanu nodded, encouraging silently, allowing space for Bill to navigate his own narrative. "She was sick," Bill confessed, his voice raw, stripped of its usual polish. "My mom. I was 13. She didn't tell anyone how bad it was, not even my dad." The studio lights hummed softly, the only sound punctuating the confessional silence. "I used to crack jokes at the hospital, made the nurses laugh, even made her laugh, right up until..." His voice trailed off, the weight of unspoken grief filling the void. Keanu didn't interrupt, letting the moment hang, heavy yet healing. "I never told anyone that," Bill admitted, almost as a confession. "Not on air, not to friends. I buried it under everything else." Keanu nodded again, his presence a silent testament to the power of listening. The letter, though not explicitly addressed to Bill, had unearthed buried truths, forcing a confrontation with emotions long suppressed. In this transformative exchange, the dynamics shifted profoundly. Bill Maher, the skeptic, found himself grappling with the authenticity of personal pain and the universal quest for meaning. Keanu Reeves, the listener, facilitated a space where silence spoke louder than words, where the act of sharing became a bridge over chasms of isolation. The studio, once a stage for entertainment, became a sanctuary for truth-telling, marking a pivotal moment in both men's lives and in the hearts of those witnessing this unexpected dialogue. The letter, though seemingly addressed to Keanu, carried a universality that transcended its immediate recipient. Its words resonated deeply with Bill Maher, striking chords of familiarity and evoking memories long buried beneath layers of comedic armor. The narrative of the boy who laughed to shield his tears mirrored Bill's own childhood, spent cracking jokes in hospital rooms while his mother battled illness. This parallel was not lost on him, and as he absorbed the letter's content, a profound sense of recognition washed over him. The audience, too, felt the ripple effect of this shared human experience, their own silent struggles momentarily illuminated by the courage displayed on stage. Keanu's recounting of the letter emphasized not just personal pain but the collective ache of humanity. He articulated how the letter served as a mirror, reflecting the often hidden vulnerabilities that unite us all. "Faith isn't about having answers," Keanu paused, his voice imbued with conviction. "It's about having somewhere to bring your silence." This statement, simple yet profound, encapsulated the essence of the letter's message, a call to embrace vulnerability as a pathway to healing. Bill's reaction was telling. Known for his razor-sharp wit and intellectual rigor, he found himself disarmed, his usual defenses crumbling under the weight of unspoken truths. "She was everything," he admitted, his voice breaking. "The way she held herself together, even when she knew she wouldn't make it." The studio remained silent, a sacred space where shared grief and resilience intertwined. Keanu nodded, acknowledging the depth of Bill's revelation, reinforcing the idea that faith manifests not in grand gestures but in the quiet moments of bearing witness. This moment of mutual vulnerability underscored the transformative power of storytelling. Keanu's willingness to share his own journey of loss and rediscovery created a safe harbor for Bill to confront his past. As Keanu unfolded the letter further, revealing a scribbled sentence along the margin, "If this letter found you, maybe it always belonged to you," the metaphorical weight of these words settled heavily in the room. They suggested a divine orchestration, a notion that resonated deeply with the audience, many of whom had faced similar crossroads in their lives. Amid the charged atmosphere of the studio, Keanu Reeves pushed the Bible toward Bill Maher, its pages now marked with a verse that seemed to resonate deeply with the unfolding narrative. "Blessed are the broken, for they will recognize healing when it comes," Keanu read aloud, his voice steady yet imbued with a quiet reverence. The underlining of the verse was faint, as if traced not with ink but with memory, suggesting a history of reflection and meaning. Bill leaned closer, his lips moving as he read the words again, slower this time, allowing their weight to settle. The audience, captivated, watched as Bill's expression shifted from skepticism to something softer, more contemplative. The significance of this verse was not lost on anyone present. It spoke directly to the core of human experience, acknowledging that brokenness, far from being a state of defeat, could be a gateway to profound healing and understanding. Keanu, observing Bill's reaction, added, "Sometimes faith isn't about having answers. It's about having somewhere to bring your silence." This insight underscored the transformative power of vulnerability, suggesting that in our most fractured moments, we are often most open to grace and renewal. Bill, visibly moved, responded with a raw honesty that was uncharacteristic of his usual on-air persona. "She was everything," he began, referring to his mother. "The way she held herself together, even when she knew she wouldn't make it." His voice cracked, laden with emotion, as he recounted making her laugh with bad jokes and worse impressions, hoping that laughter might stave off the inevitable. "She did anyway," he admitted, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. The admission was a rare glimpse into the private grief that had shaped much of his public life, a testament to the enduring impact of loss. Keanu, ever the empathetic listener, acknowledged Bill's pain with a gentle nod. "I used to think pain was proof that God didn't exist," Bill continued, his voice regaining some strength. "Now I'm wondering if pain is what kept me from listening." This reflection marked a pivotal shift in Bill's perspective, suggesting a newfound openness to the possibility of faith not as a crutch but as a source of strength. Keanu, seizing the moment, pushed the Bible slightly closer to Bill, inviting him to explore this newly revealed path. The studio, bathed in a respectful silence, became a sanctuary for this intimate exchange. The audience, sensing the gravity of the moment, remained still, their collective breath held as Bill grappled with these profound realizations. Keanu's presence was a steadying force, a reminder that faith, in its truest form, is not about dogma or doctrine but about the quiet, persistent hope that guides us through our darkest hours. As Bill absorbed the implications of the verse, he found himself confronting the walls he had built around his pain. "I always thought faith was weakness," he confessed, his voice tinged with regret. "A way to avoid reality, a kind of soft thinking." Keanu countered gently, "It takes more strength to believe in something you can't control than to mock everything you can't explain." This statement, delivered with quiet authority, challenged Bill's long-held beliefs, urging him to reconsider the nature of true strength and resilience. The conversation, rich with emotional depth and philosophical inquiry, underscored the transformative power of shared vulnerability. As Bill and Keanu delved deeper into the implications of the verse, the audience bore witness to a rare moment of authentic human connection. The Bible, once a symbol of division and debate, now served as a bridge between two disparate worlds, uniting them in a shared quest for meaning and healing. In this sacred space, created by the convergence of personal narrative and spiritual reflection, the possibilities for transformation seemed boundless, echoing the profound truth of the verse, "Blessed are the broken, for they will recognize healing when it comes." The air in the studio had transformed from one of casual banter to an almost palpable reverence. Bill Maher, known for his relentless pursuit of intellectual sparring, found himself in unfamiliar territory. The Bible, now resting closed yet present on the desk before him, symbolized more than just a religious text. It stood as a testament to the evening's unexpected journey into the realms of faith and vulnerability. Keanu Reeves, with his characteristic calm, had managed to peel back layers of skepticism, revealing the tender underbelly of human experience that resides within us all. As the conversation drew to a close, Bill leaned forward, his voice quieter than it had ever been on air. "You still believe?" he asked, the question hanging in the air, heavy with implication. Keanu did not rush to answer. Instead, he let the silence stretch, a deliberate pause that invited reflection. When he finally spoke, his words were measured, each syllable laden with the weight of personal conviction. "I believe in what kept me standing when grief tried to take my legs," he said, his voice steady. "I believe in what listened when I didn't know how to speak." This declaration, simple yet profound, seemed to resonate deeply with Bill. The comedian, whose life had been a tapestry woven with punchlines and provocations, appeared to be grappling with a new reality, one where silence and faith held more power than sarcasm and skepticism. Keanu continued, pushing the Bible slightly towards Bill, not as a challenge but as an invitation. "Inside, one verse has been marked, underlined with care," he said, his eyes meeting Bill's. "Blessed are the broken, for they will recognize healing when it comes." Bill read the verse twice, the second time slower, as if savoring each word. His silence spoke volumes, a testament to the internal shift occurring within him. The audience, too, remained hushed, the collective breath held as if afraid to disturb the sanctity of the moment. It was clear that this was not just another episode of Real Time with Bill Maher, it was a pivotal encounter that blurred the lines between entertainment and enlightenment. Keanu, ever the observer, watched Bill with a keen eye. "You know what's weird?" Bill finally said, his voice rough with emotion. "This feels safe." Keanu nodded, acknowledging the paradox of finding safety in vulnerability. "Grief makes everything feel unsafe, even silence," he replied, his words a gentle affirmation of Bill's newfound realization. The exchange between the two men, stripped of pretense and performance, had morphed into something far greater than either had anticipated. It was a dialogue that transcended the boundaries of belief and disbelief, touching the very core of human existence. As Bill confessed his fears and doubts, Keanu listened, not with judgment but with understanding. "You can put the weight down now," Keanu said softly, his words a balm to Bill's weary soul. In that moment, the studio became more than a venue for televised discourse, it became a sanctuary where truths were spoken and heard, where the masks of public personas were shed in favor of raw, unfiltered humanity. The audience, though physically distant, felt intimately connected to the unfolding drama, their own lives reflected in the shared vulnerabilities of the two men on stage. The aftermath of the unforgettable episode rippled far beyond the confines of the studio, reaching audiences worldwide and igniting a wave of introspection and discussion. Social media platforms buzzed with activity as clips of the poignant exchange between Bill Maher and Keanu Reeves went viral within hours. Viewers, captivated by the raw honesty and vulnerability displayed, took to forums and comment sections to share their thoughts and personal stories. The hashtag Blessed Are the Broken trended globally, becoming a beacon for those seeking solace and understanding in their own lives. People who had never watched Real Time with Bill Maher tuned in specifically to witness the transformative dialogue. The episode, stripped of its usual comedic flair, presented a rare authenticity that resonated deeply with viewers from diverse backgrounds. Many recounted how the show prompted them to reflect on their own beliefs and the masks they wore in public versus their private struggles. For some, it was a catalyst to revisit abandoned faiths or rekindle dormant spiritual journeys. Others found comfort in realizing they were not alone in their battles with grief and existential questions. The impact was particularly evident among younger audiences, who often viewed discussions of faith and spirituality as outdated or irrelevant. However, Keanu's calm demeanor and Bill's unexpected openness bridged generational gaps, making these themes accessible and relatable. Educational institutions and community groups began incorporating the episode into discussions about mental health, empathy, and the human condition. It sparked debates in classrooms and coffee shops alike, challenging individuals to consider the role of vulnerability and faith in personal growth and societal healing. Moreover, the episode inspired a series of follow-up interviews and articles exploring the intersection of celebrity culture and personal belief systems. Experts in psychology, theology, and media studies weighed in, analyzing how public figures navigating their own spiritual quests could influence broader cultural narratives. The conversation extended into podcasts and webinars, creating a rich tapestry of discourse that encouraged deeper exploration of the themes introduced on the show. In the weeks following the broadcast, letters poured into the show's office from viewers expressing gratitude for the courage displayed by both Bill and Keanu. Many shared how the episode had prompted family conversations that had long been avoided, leading to healing and reconciliation. Religious leaders and spiritual mentors reported an uptick in inquiries from individuals seeking guidance, inspired by the genuine search for meaning portrayed on screen. The episode also left a lasting impression on Bill Maher himself. In subsequent shows, he approached topics of faith and spirituality with a newfound sensitivity, often referencing the profound impact of his conversation with Keanu. This shift in tone was noted by critics and fans alike, marking a significant evolution in the show's thematic scope. It demonstrated the power of media to not only entertain but also to educate and inspire, fostering environments where difficult conversations could lead to personal and collective growth. Ultimately, the episode transcended its original intent, becoming a cultural touchstone that highlighted the universal quest for understanding and connection. It underscored the importance of storytelling in breaking down barriers and building bridges, reminding audiences of the transformative power of vulnerability and the enduring human capacity for change. As viewers continued to engage with the content, the legacy of that night persisted, proving that sometimes, the most impactful revolutions are those that occur quietly, within the hearts of individuals touched by a single, profound moment of truth. Weeks passed, and while the world moved inexorably onward, Keanu Reeves found himself lingering in the aftermath of that transformative night. Nestled in the hills above Los Angeles, his home became a sanctuary for reflection, a place where the echoes of vulnerability and faith continued to resonate. One morning, as the sun cast its golden hue over the landscape, a small package arrived at his doorstep. It bore no return address, only his name handwritten in delicate strokes. Inside, Keanu discovered a note in the same envelope he had opened on national television, now folded carefully and neatly. The note read, "You didn't convert me. You reminded me I'm still searching." Beneath it, the same verse was inscribed, now underlined twice, "Blessed are the broken, for they will recognize healing when it comes." Keanu's heart swelled with a quiet satisfaction. The journey he had embarked upon with Bill Maher had not ended in the studio, it had merely begun. The simplicity of the note and the deliberate emphasis on the verse suggested that Bill, too, was navigating the complexities of faith and healing. Folding the letter gently, Keanu placed it back inside the Bible, closing it slowly. This time, however, the Bible was not a symbol of confrontation or persuasion. It was a memory, a tangible reminder of what transpired when faith entered the room and silence finished the sentence. The interchange between Keanu and Bill had unveiled a profound truth, that faith, in its purest form, is not about rigid doctrines or definitive answers. It is about the quiet spaces where vulnerability meets understanding, where silence becomes a language of its own. It is in these moments that the broken pieces of our lives find alignment, not in perfection but in the shared human experience of seeking, struggling, and surviving. Keanu understood this implicitly. His life, marked by personal tragedies and public triumphs, had taught him that faith is not a destination but a journey, a continual process of becoming. For Bill Maher, the impact was equally profound. The episode had stripped away layers of skepticism, revealing a man willing to confront his deepest fears and insecurities. In the days that followed, Bill found himself revisiting the Bible, not with disdain but with curiosity. He began to see it not as a relic of outdated beliefs but as a repository of human wisdom, a collection of stories that mirrored his own struggles and aspirations. The verse, underlined twice, became a mantra, a reminder that healing is not linear but cyclical, a process that requires patience and perseverance. Their shared experience underscored a vital lesson, that the most powerful transformations often occur in the quietest moments. In a world obsessed with noise and immediacy, the episode served as a counter-narrative, advocating for the potency of silence and introspection. It challenged viewers to embrace their vulnerabilities, to seek connections that transcend superficial interactions, and to recognize the inherent dignity in every human story. As Keanu sat in his home, the Bible resting on the table before him, he felt a deep sense of peace. The journey was far from over, but he was no longer walking it alone. Across the city, Maher, too, was navigating his path, guided by the echoes of a night that had changed everything. Together, albeit separately, they embodied the essence of the verse that had brought them together: "Blessed are the broken, for they will recognize healing when it comes." And in recognizing it, they found not only solace but also the courage to continue, one step at a time, toward a future shaped by grace and understanding.